Hello everybody, this is Danny and Wanda again from Deep South Homestead.
At the off-grid cabin,
Yep.
shelling English peas.
Yeah, it's 44 degrees outside this morning. It's April the 15th, old tax day. And wind's blowing like crazy. But me and Wanda, we got out this morning at daylight. I mean literally at daylight. You could barely see the plants.
I didn't know it was that early. It was daylight.
She didn't know it was that early. When we finished, well actually we didn't finish the garden over here first. We got almost 3/4 of the way through with it. It was so cold we couldn't even feel our hands. And she come in and she goes, "What time is it?"
It wasn't even 7 o'clock, y'all.
And I told her, I said, "It ain't quite 7." And she goes, "What? You got me out that early?" Anyway, it was fun anyhow. Now we have all these peas to sit in. We're sitting inside shelling them because it's, what is that thing we got? It says 63 degrees in here, 64?
Yeah, it's nice in here. It's
nice in here, 63, 64 degrees. Very comfortable compared to outside. So we decided to sit at the cabin and shell. And while we were sitting here, we was like, you know what? We need to do this video about how much it takes for two people who eat the way Wanda and I eat. Let's put it that way. Some people eat different than we. A lot of people eat different than we eat. For a year, for dinner and lunch, or lunch and supper, or
dinner and supper,
or lunch
and
dinner.
Let's just do 2 meals.
Depends on what part of the country you're from, because we get told it's different ways in different parts of the country. For us, it's dinner and supper.
Yeah, and sometimes I say lunch because we've had a lot of people in here that have influenced us into the lunch thing.
Yeah.
But, so dinner and supper is usually what we call it. But 2 meals a day, because we've done breakfast. And you saw how much it takes to do a breakfast.
Yeah.
So, we're into lunch and supper. 2 meals a day for 2 people.
Now, lots of people ask, and they don't ask, they're making comments. And we have this is a regular comment for us. There is no way that you two people can use that much food in a year's time when they see all 7 of our gardens and what we raise in them. So hopefully today might clear that up.
And so they also go, what are you going to do with all that food? Or do you give it away? No.
No.
We eat it.
We eat it.
So first off, besides gardening, we have to have meat. We raise some of our meat. We barter for some meat with a friend that has a processing plant. And we buy some meat when it's on sale. So we do all of it. We're very conservative in our buying. So meat, 2 people, 2 times a day.
And guys, we're actively trying to become self-sufficient in the meat area.
We do have our cows.
We have our cattle
chickens.
herd starting, so we're hoping to be self-sufficient in that.
Yeah, because beef is our biggest thing.
Yeah.
Now we do chicken, and we did the meat birds last year. We'll do them again this year. And meat birds were fabulous. And we have our pork already because we had quite a bit of that done. But 2 people, 2 times a day, 365 days.
2 meals a day for 2 people, not 365 times 2. That's 365 times 4. That's for 2 people.
Yes, and that's servings.
Servings. This is not meals. Servings.
1,476 servings a year of meat.
And if you don't raise your meat,
you have to buy it.
You have to buy it. That's very expensive.
Exactly.
And that's why we raise as much of our meat as we do.
Yeah. And the next thing is, you got to have something to go with it.
Yes.
We eat potatoes every day. Some way, shape, or form. A lot of people...
White potatoes.
Yes. Last year we harvested 600 pounds of white potatoes. And people are going, oh my goodness, are you giving them away? No.
Nope.
We ate a lot fresh. A lot. And we canned, as we ate, we canned. And we canned a lot of it. I can't give you a number because I don't have it before me. But we canned a lot of potatoes.
Well, we also eat white potatoes every meal. Literally every meal.
Yeah.
So we have meat and we have white potatoes every meal.
Now, we do them in a variety of ways.
Yep.
So they're not always the same. And so you've got potatoes, at least a quart of potatoes a day. Usually it's around a quart a day for 2 people.
That's 365 quarts a year of just white potatoes.
And like I said, we eat some fresh, so
Yeah.
you could rearrange those numbers, but just for a how to figure it, 365 quarts. Then we do peas of some sort. Now, like these English peas, last year we canned approximately 60 jars.
Pints.
Yeah, pint jars. That is not enough for us to have but 1 serving a week all year long. But we had some left from the year before, quite a few, because we had a really excellent harvest the year before. And so that helped us, but we are down to now 12 pints of English peas from last year. So far, this is our second picking. We put up 6 pints the other day. This will probably give us 7 or 8 pints according to what we had the other day. And we're just getting started. We're hoping for a good harvest, but there again, you don't know.
You don't ever know.
All right, 1 pint of English peas per week is about all we can allow in our budget because we won't have it.
We just don't raise that many.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
52
at least
pints.
52 pints, and so we're hoping for that this year. Then
Field peas.
field peas. Usually, again, 1 to 2 pints a week. And so you can figure if we do 2 pints a week, that's 104.
Yeah, 104
104
pints a week, a year.
So field peas is easy.
Yes,
so we usually
very
put
easy.
more than that up. So,
Usually we put those in quarts.
yeah. And it lasts us for a couple of years. So every year we're having an excess of peas usually because peas is something you can do. And we eat more than once a week. We can do 2 or 3 times a week if we need to and not worry about running out.
Yeah, and then we got green beans is another thing that we...
4 times a week at least.
Green beans are a good 4 times a week, if not more, because green beans is usually one of our staple crops. We usually put up hundreds and hundreds of jars of green beans. And as a matter of fact, we're still eating on green beans from a couple of years ago, ain't we?
2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not even, and it's a good thing because we're having problems with green beans now. Trying to get them in. I mean, we're only able each year now to maybe can like maybe only 100 jars of green beans, and that's unheard of for us.
Yeah. And so green beans 4 times a week. We still have to have, let's see, what have I got? 250 plus jars of green beans.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're eating from 2017. We're rotating out. We're working our way up. And by the time we get to 2020, the ones we put up this year, we should be into 2022 or something like that. And just keep rotating because green beans is one of those that we can save for 5 years and not worry about them going bad.
Right.
And carrots.
Carrots is another one. I eat carrots, I'm going to say,
3 or 4 times a week.
A minimum of 4 times a week, sometimes 5 and 6 times a week, but usually it's, I'm going to say a minimum of 4 times a week. And we do put those in pints. And I usually go through about, what, 2 pints a week?
At least.
At least 2 pints a week of carrots.
And this year the carrots showed out.
They did. They showed out this year. We actually did very well. We put up 200 something jars of carrots this
So we should be good with carrots. And plus, like I said, everything we raise, we eat fresh too.
Yes.
So it saves jars when we eat fresh. So carrots, I put 182 to 200 jars of carrots.
Pint jars, no.
Yes, pints. So that covers most of what we eat during the day for lunch and supper as far as meat and veggies. Okay, we've not included any breads.
No, and plus we haven't talked about any kind of tomatoes, any salsas, any squash, anything like that. These are all other things. Now we do can some squash.
Yes.
We don't can a lot of it. We only put up maybe 50 or 60 quart jars of squash a year.
But I use that as a filler in casseroles. Instead of using cornstarch or something like that, I'll mash the squash up and put it into my casseroles, and it takes the flavor of whatever you put it in, so you don't have to worry about it. You're getting your squash, plus it saves on other stuff.
And then when it comes to something like sweet corn, we usually will, there's no need in us saving, we always try to go for around between 150 and 200 ears of sweet corn. That will give us enough corn in bags to freeze, because we've tried canning sweet corn, and canned sweet corn is just, to us, is horrible. So we usually put it in bags. So if we can get anywhere between around 50 to 60 bags of sweet corn in the freezer,
yeah, we're good.
We're good, because we don't eat sweet corn every day. That's one of those things
About
that
once
maybe
a
once a
week,
week or
maybe.
something, maybe we eat sweet corn.
Squash is something too we eat fresh.
Mostly
When we have
fresh.
squash, it's mainly fresh, and we do a lot with squash fresh, so that saves in other ways.
And then pumpkins, like our Cherokee tan pumpkins, stuff like that.
I don't can those.
We don't can none of that kind of stuff, because the Cherokee tan will keep in its own rind for a year with no problem if you cut the stem off right. So we have those are like specialty items in the meal whenever we fix a meal. We don't have Cherokee tans, but maybe once every 2 weeks.
Or once a month sometimes.
Yeah, maybe sometimes once a month, something
and we
like
have
that.
spaghetti squash, butternut squash.
Yeah.
Those will save the same way. Maybe once a week or every couple of weeks. We don't do these all the time. That makes everything stretch.
Yes.
And you don't have the same meals all the time. Another is sweet potatoes.
Yeah, sweet potatoes is a biggie for us. We like to harvest anywhere between
400 to 600.
400 to 600 pounds of sweet potatoes a year, and people go, "Oh my God, that's a lot of sweet potatoes." Well, I eat sweet potatoes
Every day.
every day of my life.
Every day.
365 days a year. Sometimes when it's seasoned, Wanda
We eat 'em
uses
a
them
lot.
fresh. We don't use our canned ones during that time.
No.
But we also can a lot of sweet potatoes.
So we use sweet potatoes a lot in desserts. He likes the sweet potato dessert, so I make one, and so I figured we needed at least 210-15 jars at least, and that doesn't include all the fresh that
Right,
we
that
do.
doesn't include the fresh. That's just what we put in
That's
jars.
just to make the sweet potato dessert that he eats. We eat fresh, we eat them baked. I make all kinds of stuff. We eat fries. We eat sweet potato fries when they're fresh.
Yes.
Just about every day. So that's another way we use different items here on the homestead.
And tomatoes is another one. Now tomatoes, we usually have just bukudos of tomatoes. I mean,
That we don't even need half the time.
we
because-
have more tomatoes put up in jars than we'll probably use in the next, 3 years?
Yeah, and guess who planted 200 plants?
And I planted probably 200 more plants this year. So,
But tomatoes
but
comes
you
in
don't-
handy.
yeah, I mean, you eat them fresh in tomato sandwiches. You make salsas with them. You make ketchup with them. I mean,
You can use them in chili, you can use them in spaghetti. You use it in everything. So we have tomato juice in case if somebody needs something and needs a quick pick-me-up and they can't eat, tomato juice is excellent. You can make a V8 by adding some of your other veggie broths into it. I mean, V8s are very easy. You could take. We have a what's it called? The juicer.
juicer. Yeah, we have a Champion juicer.
If somebody's sick and they can't really eat, the tomato juice along with some more stuff juiced is a great way to get something down people.
Yeah.
And so we keep that on hand for that. Pickles. We don't use a lot of pickles because I make refrigerator pickles and those last a year, and I'm good with that because they're quick and easy.
Yep.
But we can at least a dozen jars, sometimes up to 20 for relish.
For relish.
And we use that in chicken salad and potato salad and stuff like that. It's a quick way to add something to a turkey salad, whatever.
Yes.
The other thing, we use our jars for lard and cane syrup. So
Yes.
That's a biggie for us. Our cane syrup, we use probably, what was it, close to 100 jars, some pints, some quarts, in our cane syrup. So that takes up a lot of...
During the holiday seasons, these things will change a little bit because we do a little bit more baking during the holiday seasons, making more things. So, you know, it'll change a little bit, but not a lot.
And the lard, we try to keep, I mean, what, maybe 30 jars or more, 40 in lard. And that's pint jars.
That's pint jars, because usually, I'll say, yeah, we keep around 40 jars, if I'm not mistaken, of lard.
And I do some butter, so there's jars with butter. I don't do huge amounts of butter, but I rotate my butter out. And so I do a few pounds of butter in jars. We keep some of our dehydrated things in jars.
Yes.
So a few of our jars has dehydrated beans. Well, dried beans.
Dried beans. We dry
oatmeal, grits.
We oven can flour.
What else? Rice. All this can be put in jars. So we have jars with some of that in it. And rice is another thing. We use some of it. Oatmeal, grits, all that was in breakfast, but it is in jars.
But now, cornmeal can be used, we grind from our Danny corn, can be used to make cornbread, flapjacks, corn cakes, all these different type of things. Cornbread dressing.
My cornbread cookies, watch Crazy Days.
Cornbread cookies on Crazy Days. Just the broth that we use from the meat that we save. See, we don't just throw the bones away and all that. Whenever we get through cutting the meat off the bones, Wanda boils all that down, makes broth off of that. The broth goes in with the cornbread to make the cornbread dressings and stuff like that. So we put a lot of broth in jars.
The broth that goes in jars, so we've got quite a few jars tied up in broth. Jelly. We do a good bit of jelly usually each year because we have, right now I'm picking huckleberries and dewberries. And they both make great jellies. Yeah. Now, then we'll have the blackberries. We'll have, blueberries, strawberries usually. This year we won't have strawberries.
No, we moved them all this year now.
They're not doing real well with producing this year, so there won't be any strawberry jam. Then we have all of our figs and...
We put lots of our fruits in jars. Figs, apples, pears. I mean, just...
Peaches.
Yes.
All this goes in jars. So you can see, this is what we use for desserts too. I make some applesauce plus apple slices that goes in cakes. Sometimes we make muffins and I put some of this stuff. Applesauce can be used in the place of eggs. Sometimes you can replace butter with applesauce. So it is great to have applesauce on hand.
Yeah. Anything else? What else do we, we're sitting here, Ms. Wanda made a list.
Yes. Okay, so.
Let's talk about some of the things that we don't put in jars.
Some of the things you gotta have if you want a meal, because already you see how many jars. We figured over 2,000 to 2,300 jars for dinner, supper, and snacks. That does not include breakfast.
It's not breakfast.
So if you put it all together, we're thinking 3,000 plus jars for everything we do. And that's approximately what we have here at Deep South.
2 people, guys.
Okay, so that's not a meal. And we don't do a lot of bread, so y'all, I mentioned this a while ago, bread is something we really don't do very, very seldom. I will make a loaf of bread or I will get bread from the store or something. It lasts me for weeks because I freeze it and eat one piece every now and then. Danny doesn't eat bread, so we're good there. But the extras. Now, if we're going to talk about what it takes to feed 2 people, you got to have salt, pepper, baking powder, sugar, brown sugar, flour, milk, butter, cheese, vanilla flavoring, different spices, cocoa, mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard, salad dressing, some type of oil or something, cornstarch. You see, that's just what I came up with. I know there's more, and you're probably going to tell me in the description how many more things I forgot. But that did not include That's stuff we can't raise, we have to buy.
And the ketchup we can make. But,
Well, yeah, but I mean, overall, most people are not,
right.
is what I'm getting at. If you're going to eat and you just add bread to that, or up your flour and make your own, one of the two.
There's no milk in that either.
Didn't I mention milk? Yeah, I mentioned
Did
milk.
you mention milk? I didn't
Yes.
hear you say milk.
Milk,
Okay.
yes. And so guys, to feed 2 people for a year, I don't even have a estimate as far as money. I don't even have a really good estimate as far as what it would do. I'm just telling you, this is what we do. If we added up the amount of everything and kept day-to-day records, it would be astounding. Already it's astounding just looking at it.
Well, when you start thinking 3,000 plus jars of food a year that needs to be canned, that's overwhelming to some people. Now we have over 3,000 jars, but that's just an average for us because and we don't eat big meals.
No, we are not big eaters.
No, we're not big meal eaters. I mean,
We have people come here and they go, when we fix plates, they're looking at us like, that's all you eat? We eat 3 times that. And we go, no, this is an average portion for a grown human being to eat.
yeah.
If you're eating 3 or 4 times, that's just too much food at one time. Cut back on your food and you'll see a cut back in your prices.
Well, first of all, home-raised food is more nutrient dense,
Yes.
so you don't have to have as much in your body.
Yeah, to cover the calories you need.
Right. Store-bought food has basically nothing in it. Even if you buy fresh food from the store, the vitamin nutrition in it is so minimal till once it's been irradiated, because everything in a grocery store has had radiation run through it, has no living enzymes in it. Even if it's fresh, it's had radiation in it to increase the shelf life. So when you take out all the living enzymes, you have nothing. The only thing that you might get some vitamins and minerals and all from is things like cornmeal, flour, stuff like this. They go back and they extract everything out of it, and then they come back and add it back into it, which is, to me, is totally stupid. But it is.
Guys, we just wanted to give you a little food for thought on what it costs to feed 2 people dinner and supper for a year, and that's our way.
This is Deep South way.
Deep South way, guys. So we hope you get a little bit of something out of this, and we're going to get to finishing up our shelling so I can go can these.
Yep.
And we'll talk to you later from Deep South Homestead.